Okay, so this vlog is really not going to be about being a campsite warden. It's going to be a bit of an unusual one, a bit of a mixed up one. But first of all, before I do anything, I want to wish my beautiful daughter Lucy a very happy birthday. Lucy is 23 today and a millennium baby. So Lucy, I know I'm not with you today, but once I'm back home, obviously we'll catch up and get something to eat and get out and see my grandson Caden. So just for you, Lucy, Daddy will love you forever. He'll like you for always, and as long as I'm living, my baby, you'll be. Right, just for a bit of fun, I'm just going to insert a few, not many, just a couple of random photographs of Lucy throughout the years being little. Only a couple of photographs, and enjoy these. I hope they you enjoy those and they raise a smile. So coming up next, Sandra sent me over some video clips from back at home. She's back up here at Whit, the bank holiday weekend. I think she's here for a week. I've got some plans to be doing something which I'm not going to let you know just yet, but we've got some ideas. Anyway, enough of that. So the clips that we've got coming up are Sandra talking about having tadpoles in our back garden and getting very excited about frogs. And we live on a housing estate, and the frogs in our back garden, they were brought in by me 55 maybe more years ago. There's no ponds or anything like that, but there used to be a ornamental pond up in a local park called Melrose Park. Anybody in the Altrincham area may know of Melrose or Halecroft Park, if it's the posh name. And I went over there as a boy, and I used to just collect frogs. I just get a bucket and come back with bucket loads of frogs. I had no idea why, but it's the sort of thing that you do when you're a boy. And then I had a little plastic pond and bits and bobs in the back garden, and you just go to the brook and get sticklebacks and things like that. So so you got Sandra talking about frogs, and if you're wondering where the frogs came from, it was myself and all the neighbours and everybody. There was all been musing as over the years the frogs have managed to survive. Other people have had ponds and they live under sheds and in damp places. Anyway, so Sandra's got all excited about frogs, and then she's going to talk about a park at the bottom of our road back at home. So Sandra set up a friends group quite a few years ago now to look after the park, and they put in a bench and some planters, and they had fun days and things like this. And it got too much for Sandra. She did it for many years as a volunteer, and other people wouldn't help her, and people like to enjoy your park or your recreation ground, but when you've got friends groups, it's really important that they're supported by other volunteers. And sadly, Sandra was getting very little help, and well, it had to come to the end of the day and everything. So if you've got a little friends group near you, whether it be a park or a recreation ground, or even a litter picking group, go and spend just 1 hour a month. Just 1 hour. That's all. Just 1 hour a month, and go and volunteer, because you can make a real difference. You may not think you'll make a difference, but you will do. And it's really sad now to see all of Sandra's work all going to rack and ruin. Anyway, enough of me waffling. Here's some clips of what Sandra's sent in. I'm going to try and edit these the best that I can, and all being well, my next vlog will be about being a campsite warden. Look after yourselves. Here's Sandra.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I've been having a nice, quiet Saturday, whole Saturday, pottering about, been to Stockport, done a bit of pootling, got my car, air conditioning, looked at a few different things, a little bit of shopping. Anyway, so back home, it's the evening, and I've just been having a lovely potter in the back garden because it's finally warm, sunny, pleasant, delightful. Anyway, I'm very excited. I couldn't record out there for too long because there's commercial music playing from our neighbours next door, and you're not allowed to anyway get into copyright issues and things like that. So anyway, but I just wanted to film. I hope you can see them, but we have tadpoles. So we've had frogs for ages. I mean, years, literally years. Not quite sure where they hide normally. And then during lockdown in 2020, my daughter made us a little kind of pond thing, which I think I showed in a previous video, and she planted in some wild plants like watercress and a few things. Anyway, it's been quietly sat there for obviously 2 or 3 years now. And for the first time, we've got tadpoles. It's so exciting. They're so cute. I think they must have just hatched. They're quite small, but there's so many of them. Like, what a delight. Oh, it's just so... I've never had our own tadpoles. It's just sort of a makeshift pond in a big plastic bucket, really. So we just had to be creative during lockdown. But what a result. It's just... Anyway, I'm very excited, as you can tell. But hey, our first tadpoles. Yay! Good evening. So it's a Saturday and just had a nice relaxing day, just getting out and about, a little bit of shopping, been around Stockport, been over to Broadheath, Altrincham area, bit of time in the garden at home. Anyway, so amongst other things, also quickly popped in to see my friend Sarah, who lives near this local park near where we live, and she reminded me that the planters that we put in some years ago are looking a bit neglected now. So I've come down with a couple of plants to pop in. I'm also just going to trim the tree behind me. So when I first started, just going to swing around actually. It doesn't really help, does it? Get it right. Anyways. Been a long day. Yeah, when I first started, there were no trees in this park at all, and we've now got about 6 down this end of the park. It used to be just all bare grass and not much else. And then there's another few trees up the other end of the park. There's the goalposts that you can see. We had those put in. There's a very long story behind that, which I won't go into today. And we put in some shrubs along the fencing just to make it a little bit nicer. So it doesn't look like a lot, but it was a lot of effort to even get as much done as we did, and the drama just to get in a bench and a notice board was quite special. Good old Traffic Council. Anyway, but yeah, it's still a lovely quiet space, and we've kept it preserved as a local park, so there's some rumours it might get developed at some point, but it is still a local park for residents to enjoy, so that's really good. Yeah, when these trees were planted, it was an incredibly hot, dry summer, and unfortunately this alder here doesn't like hot and dry, so it has survived, but it's looking a bit dead at the top. So I am just gonna do a bit of a kneel and just chop it down where it's already dead, and then it should start to bush from below. So I'm just going to do that now, and I can't really film myself doing that, so yeah. It's that top part, that really tall top part, it was so completely dead and dry. It was just like balsa wood, but hopefully given time the rest will bush out and grow and it'll recover. So yeah, just had some very harsh summers when these were first planted. I mean, the year they were planted, it was about March time, and it was like something crazy like -5 or something, about a week before they were planted. And it just thawed out enough so that they could be planted as planned. But then that summer it was an absolute scorcher, and I had to get volunteers running down to water the trees so they didn't die that first year. It was a bit nuts anyway. But yeah, so a bit short on the top, but at least it's green now, and that bit is just completely dead. going nowhere. So there was just one tree that didn't survive at all. There's one cherry tree that didn't make it. But we have still 11 others that did okay, so yeah, all good stuff. We need more trees, so that's my little bit to providing more trees for the planet. There you go. My friend was not exaggerating. The planter does look rather sad at the moment, so Neil helped me put this in a couple of years ago. Not looking too clever at the moment, which is a shame. Yeah, this is the bench that we had put in. Needs a lick of paint. There is no active Friends of Park group anymore. I just couldn't keep it going. I couldn't get enough volunteers involved, and yeah, so notice board. The playground's still here, which is nice. We did get new bins and new signage. But yeah, it still needs a bit of TLC, to be honest, but there's only so much I could do. Kids are all grown up now, and my volunteers got to the point they didn't really want to keep it going, and getting old themselves and things. So. And this also needs some TLC, I think. Bit of a shame. Anyway, I shall try and do a little bit of improvements now. Good evening. It's Sunday evening here in South Manchester, and I've been finally getting some time in the garden. So I had quite a lot of young plants which have been grown up in pots, looking something like this. And they've been doing quite well, but they need to go into the ground and see how they get in the ground this year. It started raining again, unfortunately. Not too much, but we've lost the lovely sunshine from yesterday, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, so I've been quite busy. So I'm trying a new thing. So last year I tried planting onions together with my strawberries, and that seemed to go quite well, and I got pretty good onions, considering they're never very good in our clay soil here. So I've started off some garlic. There was some sprouting garlic left over from cooking, but it has rooted okay. So I've popped my garlic in with the strawberries this year, and I've got some little alpine strawberry seedlings which I've popped in as well. So they're all in that big pot there. And then next to them, that's 3 tomato plants. They're all different varieties, and I picked those up in Lincolnshire when I was visiting Neil. So I've never had much luck in the greenhouse. I was thinking about this. I was sorry having a brew once I'd finished my work, just to relax a bit. And Neil kindly put me a greenhouse at the bottom of the garden, and he can't see why it's a problem because his mum had a greenhouse in the same location when he was little. Well, obviously that's a good few decades ago now, being honest. And the trees are just, something like about, 40 or 50 years taller. So if you look at the trees now, I think you can kind of see the problem with the poor little greenhouse. It's quite overshaded now. So I've just never had much luck with tomatoes down there because I just don't think they're getting enough light, to be truthful. So, I mean, the mature trees are absolutely lovely, but the greenhouse is no longer, to be honest, in the best location. So I'm just going to have my tomato plants in pots in the main part of the garden where they'll get a decent amount of sunlight, and see if they do a bit better. I seem to remember one year Neil grew some tomatoes in that little plot there, which I'm going to show you this anyway, just here, which I'll show you. But again, it's not as shaded here, so this could be the problem. Anyway, so in this little plot here, I've got some radishes growing already behind the pansies. There's a little rose bush in there, and then I've put in some turnips and beetroot I'm going to try in there, which I've not tried before, and just see how it goes. And then along the side during the week I put in a couple of courgette plants and they're coming along nicely. They're doing okay. The lovage is as huge as ever. It's really established now. Gorgeous herb. If you love it, either you love it or hate it. It's a bit Marmite, but I love it. It's a really aromatic herb, really nice. And the rhubarb's doing well. The lemon balm's doing well. The chives are a little bit hidden. The chives are still there, but they're a little bit underneath, as is the majorum. But yeah, they're doing okay. And then my onions are doing okay, that I put in a few weeks ago. And then I've got some self-seeded kale that's popping up, but I've got to keep that because I like a bit of kale. And then my parsnips have sprouted. Some of the leeks have sprouted. Not so many beetroot from seed, but at least I've got the other beetroot that I grew indoors. We'll see how that does. So that rhubarb over there, that's the Simply Early. This was the Victoria rhubarb, which was, bless it, trying really hard to flower. But anyway, I think it's going more leafy now, so I just kept cutting out the flowers and hopefully it'll start producing edible rhubarb sticks soon. And then I've just cleared out this bed here and popped in, so at the back there's some hopefully sprouts and then cauliflower and then a couple of lots of broccoli. But it was quite hard to get that out without damaging them. They're quite tender, so hopefully they'll recover, but we'll see. I've got a few more in case they don't. The red currants are doing extremely well this year. They look really healthy, so plenty of red currants on the way. So maybe making red currant wine again. And the raspberries are doing pretty good too, looking pretty lush. I think in general we've got a lot of lush growth this year, and then the apple trees behind me are looking pretty good. After all that feeding since last year, they're definitely looking more sprightly and more healthy, which is good. And then my experiment on the other side, bit of a mixed bag. So I need to clear more of the weeds, but I ran out of time. So I've been over this weekend to see Lucy and Caden, amongst other things. So yeah, not so much time in the garden. I had a bit to do in Stockport and this and that yesterday. Anyway, but yeah, still need to weed on this side. But the stuff I planted is still there. Runner beans and some broad beans, but they are getting quite badly nibbled again. But they tend to recover eventually. But in this garden, it's such a battle between the slug snails and what I'm trying to plant. So it's a bit hit and miss. So yeah, so that's the back garden this weekend. So it's really getting quite dusky now. So I just had to pick up a phone call and do a few bits before I could pop out back to the local park again. Anyway, so I tried to film this yesterday and didn't get the settings quite right, so I'm popping back so you can have a quick look. So yeah, so I planted some little pinks and this little planter here, and so Sarah's going to pop down at some point and do a bit more as well. So it looks definitely a little bit cheered up compared to how it was. So they should settle in quite nicely and spread. So it's a step in the right direction, I think. And then it's a lot more grey than yesterday. All that lovely sunshine's gone. Boo. Anyway. And again, some work to do here, but we've got a little fuchsia in the middle and some more pinks just to brighten up this bed, and then hopefully Sarah will come and finish the rest. So she had some busy lizards and things that she wants to put in as well, so it should look nice when it's all done. And so it's one of those things, it does take time to do a little bit and volunteer and get involved. I mean, there used to be a lady that did look after these planters for me, but her daughter got seriously ill during the whole lockdown situation, so she can't really help anymore. And but these little things do make a difference. If you do have a park in your local area, I encourage you to get involved and just do a little bit to make it nicer for everyone. So I did work on this for quite a few years, but really need someone else to step forward now and do a bit. It's really the same in lots of places. Anyway, I'm just walking down because I realised that the tree that died, it looks like it has at last been replaced, which is quite exciting. They said they would replace it, but like everything, it got set back because of COVID and all the rest. But they have replanted it. Fantastic. Yeah, that's quite recent, this. I thought it wasn't there before. So, yeah. So, the cherry tree is reborn. There it is. Looking a lot happier than the last poor thing that just got fried to death in the first year when it was planted. The one at the end is a little bit unusual. It's a black walnut, and there are other walnut trees in the area, but they're what they're called dioecious, so they're either male or female, and you need both to get walnuts. So that's a black walnut tree. But the reason it's called black walnut is not because the walnuts are black; they're actually green. But what it is you can make black dye from the skins of the walnuts, which I only found out relatively recently. So when you're making your own natural dyes and things, if you can get the whole walnuts or the walnut casings, they make quite a good black dye. But you do have to nab them before the squirrels do, because the squirrels love them too. There we go. So I've got more stories about the park, but I'll leave those for another day. So I shall see you all soon. And looking forward now to getting back to the nurseries in the not too distant future. Not next weekend, but the weekend after. It's been a while. Bye for now.